So let's dig into the module and see what the payroll module offers. Payroll module actually has a very neat and attractive dashboard. Okay, so here in the dashboard we have analysis or information about everything and anything inside this module. So here you can see the count of the paid ones, the confirmed ones, the review ongoing ones, as well as the draft ones. And if you want to take data of any particular month, so you can filter it from here. You can specify the month, and from here you can simply export the data. And here you have a graph which actually shows the employee pay slips, where you have the name of the employees as well as the amount. And different color represents different stages, like the draft, the review ongoing, the confirmed ones, as well as the paid ones. Okay, so here you have the department total amount, that is the total pay slip generated, and the total amount. Okay, so corresponding to each department, the total amount can be viewed from here. So here you have the sales department, total amount, as well as the software department, HR department, as well as the marketing department. So department wise, total amount can be viewed over here. And then you have the contracts ending this month. So currently we don't have any contracts ending this month. So that's the reason why here we have the count as 0. If you have any, that number will be represented over here. Then you have the department chart, where you can see the different departments. You have different department in different colors, like the software department, marketing, sales department, HR department, and so on. Okay, so this is the attractive dashboard of payroll. Now let's move on to the contract. Okay, so here in the contract option, you can easily create contracts as well as see the created contracts. Now here you have different colors which represents different statuses. Okay, so this green one that is here, you can see if you take the contract of John Smith, you have the green color. Green color represents the active state. Okay, so this contract is currently active. And then you have the lighter shade, which is draft, then expired, as well as terminated. Okay, once it's expired, it will turn to red. And if that person is terminated, that will turn into black. So these are the different color codes representing different status of the contract. So here, if you take this contract, you have the contract name, that is the name of the contract you've given, and this contract is for which employee, that employee's name is given. So this is John Smith's contract. Then you have the start date as well as the end date of the contract. And then you have the wage type. Okay, so wage type basically can be monthly, hourly, weekly, and all. Okay, so that can be given over here. It can be chosen. And you have the basic salary and the filing status. Currently here the filing status is none. Okay, and then you have the status of the whole contract, whether it's active or not. Okay, and you have the option to update as well as delete the contract. If you want to update, click on the icon over there, and here comes the contract creation form. So inside this form, you have the contract name, the employee, the contract start date, contract end date, wage type, basic salary, and so on. Okay, so here you can see the contract name is John Smith's contract. That is, you can give any name corresponding to the contract. Okay, and then you have to choose the employee for whom you are creating the contract, and then specify the start date as well as the end date of the contract. And here you have the option to choose the wage type. So basically we have 3 types, which is hourly, daily, and monthly. So currently for this person, monthly wages is chosen, and the basic salary of this person should be provided over here. Okay, so you can simply increase or decrease the value from here. Okay, so that's the basic salary. And then you have calculate daily leave amount. If you want to calculate the daily leave amount, you have to enable this. So only if you enable this, all these sections will appear. Okay, so here you can see. Okay, and here you have the deduct leave from basic pay. If you want to deduct leave from the basic pay, you have to enable this. Okay, now after that, you have the option to specify the department, the job position, the job role, as well as the shift. Okay, so here in the shift, you have regular shift, night shift, morning shift, whatever the shift of this person is, you have to choose it over here. Then you have the job role. So the job role can be chosen from here. You can either be a trainee, a manager, or so on. Okay, so here he's a junior developer, which is an Odoo developer. And Here you have the work type. So you can choose the work type of the person as work from office or work from home or whatever it is. And then you have the filing status. So filing status can be chosen from here. So if you just click on that, you have this single, married filing jointly, or married filing separately, or head of household. Whatever the filing status is, you can choose it from here. And then you have the pay frequency, that is semi-monthly or weekly, monthly. What is the frequency of the payment? Okay, that is given here. And if you want to add any kind of document towards this contract, you can do that from here. Simply click on choose, contract document. So from here, you can choose the file from your system and upload it. And then you have the status. So you can basically change the status from here. So from here, if you want to make it into draft state, you can do that. Active state, expired state, as well as terminated state. Then here you have the notes. That is, if you have any notes, you can specify it over here and simply save it. So this is how you create a contract file. So this is actually a pre-created contract. Okay. So while you're doing an edit or if you're creating one, the process is all the same. So that's why I opened the pre-created one. And let's save it. So you can see contract updated. So what we did right now is updating the contract. If you want to create a new contract, you have the option to create here. Click on create and then comes the same form. Okay. So here you have to specify the name of the contract. So I'm specifying the name. So before that, let's choose the employee, and corresponding to the name of the employee, we'll put the contract name. So I'll give Daniel Davis, and this I'll give contract. Okay. So that's the name. And you have the contract start date. So I'm putting the start date as today, and the end date, I'll put it as some other days. Okay, so I specified a contract end date as well. So this contract will be ending on 2026. Now here you have the option to choose the wage type. So I'll put as daily. So the wage type is daily. And the basic salary for this person, I'll give it as 50,000. Okay. Or you can change it from here. So let it be 5,000. Now here you have the option to calculate the daily leave amount. Okay. So enable it. And so if you want to deduct the leave from basic pay, you can do that as well. So I'm disabling this. So here you can see deduction for one leave amount. That is, if you don't enable this, okay, you will see this field over here. So in this field, you have the option to specify the deduction for one leave amount. Okay, what the deduction should be for one leave, that should be specified over here. Okay, so to reduce all those things, you are just enabling this from here. And I'll choose this one also. And then you have to choose the department of the person. All these have come because this employee is a pre-created employee, right? So all these details have auto-populated. And then you have the work type. So I'm putting work from office. And the filing status, I'll put single. And then you have the pay frequency. So let it be monthly itself. And I'm not adding any contract document. If you want, you can simply click on choose file and update it from your system. Then you can put the contract status. So first it will be in draft state, then active state. So I'm putting it in active state. So our contract has been created. I'll show you. I'm searching for Davis. And here we have our contract. So contract for Davis, and it's in green color because the status of it is active. Now let me do one thing. I'll edit and show all the different statuses. I'm putting it to expired, okay, and saving it. Let's see what the color is. So let's search for Davis. And here you can see it's in red color. Let me open it again and edit it. Changing it to terminated. Save. So what happens if that person is terminated? It will turn to black. So here you can see it's turned to black. Okay, I'm changing it back to active state and saving it. So that's how you create a contract. So that's all about the contract. And then you have the allowance view. So go to allowance view, and here you have the different allowances like the transportation allowance, the meal allowance, the professional development, the childcare assistance allowance, low basic pay assistance, and all such things. So If you want to add a new allowance, simply click on create. The name of the allowance, I'm giving it as food allowance. And here you have the one-time date. Now, one more thing if I have to say is that the field help. Okay, so you can see this I button or the I icon all over the fields. So it's simply giving you the idea about what this field is. Okay, so here you can see one-time date. What is one-time date? The one-time allowance in which the allowance will apply to the payslips if the date between the payslip period. Okay, so that date should be mentioned over here. So you can choose any date. And then this thing, okay, here you can see include all active employees, and here you have a field called employee specific. So currently it's unenabled. Okay, it's not like enabled, it's not active. Okay, so in such cases, this field appears, which is employee specific. That is the option to specify, employees. That is, if I'm choosing Abigail Lee, this allowance will only be available to Abigail Lee. And if you want to add one more, you can add it from here. So only the employees which you specify here will get this allowance. Okay, others won't. So that's the use of this employee specific. And then here you have include all active employees. Okay, so if you are enabling that means you have the option to choose the, employees who should be excluded. So if you want to exclude any employees, you can choose that from here. Okay, so that's done. And then you have the option here, which is to set it as fixed one. Okay, I'm removing this one as well. And if you want to set it as fixed, let's go to the field help. It says to specify the allowance is fixed or not. Okay, so that is available over there. So if you want to make this allowance fixed one, you can do that from here. And whether it's taxable or not, that is, this field is used to calculate the taxable allowance. Okay, so that can be enabled. And here you have to set the allowance amount. I'm setting it to 5,000 and the basic pay. Okay, basic pay, I'm choosing it as 10,000. Okay, so that's how you give it. Now here you have the option to specify the condition. That is, if it's greater than or equal to or whatever the condition is that you can choose. Amount, if basic pay is greater than this much. Okay, so you have an option to give the amount over here. 2,000. Save it. So that's how you create allowances. You can see our allowance is created and that message has come which says food allowance. Okay, so that's the allowance. And similarly, we have the deduction. You have deductions like the Medicare tax, the social security and all. So if you just open one, you can see the pre-tax, the condition-based, the maximum limit, whether it has a maximum limit or not, and all such details. So let's do one thing. Let's create a deduction. So I'm giving the title as new deduction. And here you have the option to set the one-time date, which we have given in the allowance case also. So that's similar. Gonna choose the dates from here. Okay. Then you have the same things which we saw inside the allowance, which is the include all active employees. If you are not including all active employees and if you want to, specify any employees, you can choose it from here. And then if you enable this, you have the option to exclude employees. Okay. So I'm putting it as such. And here you have the tax, that is to specify the deduction is tax or normal deduction. Okay. Whether you have to specify whether it's tax or whether it's normal deduction or not. And then you have the pre-tax. Okay. So it is to find taxable gross. Taxable gross is equal to basic pay plus taxable deduction minus pre-tax deduction. So here you have a calculation. So that calculation is particularly given inside the field there. Okay. Now if you want to set it as condition based. So if it's a condition based deduction, then you have to specify the conditions, right? So I'm enabling it and here you can see the condition. Okay. Specify the condition, the field. So based on all these fields, that is if children, marital status, experience, company experience, gender and so on. So based on anything, you can set the conditions over here. So whether it's equal to, not equal to, less than, greater than and so on. And then you have to specify the value. So if I'm giving as the company experience greater than 2, okay, then update, then what we'll put the basic pay. So what you have to update the compensation is in basic pay. Then set the amount from here. So that's the thing. And after that, you can simply save it. So that's the new deduction. If you open it, you can see the details. So I'm clicking on edit. Let's change it to normal. And you can see. So by choice, if we whatever we are choosing, that will come here. So you have basic pay as well as gross pay. Okay. So if it's a fixed amount, then you have to specify the fixed amount over here. Okay. So this is the fixed amount for this deduction. And if choice, it's the pay head for the if condition. So it's basically used for the if condition. And then you have the greater than, less than, whatever it is. So if the basic pay is greater than this amount. So I'm putting the amount over here. Okay. Then here you have the update compensation. That is the update compensation, is used to update pay head before any other deduction calculation starts. Okay. So if you want to make it condition based, just enable this, and here you have to specify the field, the condition value, and so on. So that's how you create a deduction and simply save it. So here you can see the new deduction which you have created. And then you have the pay slip. So this is the employee pay slips, where you have the details of the employees, like the employee name, the period of work paid, that is the status, which is paid, draft, or review ongoing, whatever it is. And then the gross pay, the deduction, the net pay, and the option to view it as well as remove it. So this is the view of the pre-created, pay slip. Okay, and you can see the status from here. So from here, you can change the status. Okay. So this is the pay slip. Let's do one thing. Let's create one. Before that, you have different statuses like paid, confirmed, review ongoing, draft, and so on. So simply click on create, and here you have the name of the employee. So let it be Bob or anyone else. Okay, let it be Andrew. And you have to specify the start date from here. So I'm putting the start date as today, and the end date I'm putting it as, let it be 31st of October, and click on create payslip. So it says the end date cannot be in future. So let's do one thing. 30 itself. 21 itself. Let's try. Okay. So this is the payslip which we generated for Andrew. And you can see the employee ID and the department this person belongs to, and the payslip period. Okay. So you can see the employee net pay, how much is it, and all the deductions and allowances. So you have the basic pay and the low basic pay assistance, that is the total gross pay. And here you have the deductions. Okay. So the total deduction is $69, and after all those deductions, the amount will be $833. Okay. So that's the total net payable. Okay. Like after the deduction. So that's the pay slip. And then here you have the federal tax, where you have the filing status. Okay. So the filing status is, the name that will be displayed in the list and the contract creation form. That is, just click on create. Here you have the filing status. So this is the name that will be displayed on the list. Okay. And the contract creation form also. And here you have the based on. So based on means it is to select from options for the basic of, tax calculation. And it can be based on gross pay, basic pay, taxable gross pay, and so on. And then you have the option to specify the description. Okay. So if this is the filing status, I'm giving the filing status as new. And it should be based on basic pay, then that will be the option. And here you have the option to specify the description and simply save it. So as you can see, a new one is created. And if you want to create, update, or delete this filing status, you can do that from here. Okay. So that's how it's done.